just let you know I cannot do an audio test on my live stream.
Well, I'm recording.
Give me 1 second, and we'll actually start this. Hey, Animo. By the way, Riley, Animo is a friend of mine that lives up here. He was, he was thinking about coming down, and he didn't came.
It's probably a good idea anyhow with the
No, last
the
year.
quarantines and stuff going on.
No, it was like last year.
Oh, I thought you meant today.
Okay, audio's good. Now it's gonna echo for the first part. God damn it. Okay, so I put down on my live, like, I don't know if you can see my live stream from your end.
No, I don't have it up because I don't want to have too much
Echo on your
data
end.
going over my internet and bog it down because I don't have very good internet out here in the country.
Yeah, I live out in the country, but we're on the latest.
Yeah, we don't have cable or fiber or anything. Yeah, it's
Um, so I wrote down. I don't know why I put L the one next to the first question. So these are the same questions I asked you at CCF, actually no, AZFC. Sorry, I just went
okay.
to another
My
con.
answers may be a little different, but that's because I can't remember exactly what I said. But I don't know if you want to introduce
But
thing, start
so
off, or
so hold on. Hey guys, my name is Funtime Wolf. I know I didn't say my intro. I'm here to ask Riley on uh my I think right
I don't
or
know. It could be mirrored.
it's left on my end. Um, she I'm gonna be asking her questions from CCFC, no, AZFC. Sorry, I went to CCFC with Animo here. That God, God, I'm moving my mic closer. Give me 1 second. um, and she was my beginner, um, like YouTuber when I got into the furry fandom. I'm asking her questions on these questions I asked her at AZFC last year before this whole COVID-19 thing happened. So my first question that I asked her, how long have you been in the furry fandom?
So I have been part of the actual fandom since January 2007. That's at least with the date that it says I registered on my original account on Furfinity. However, I had no idea what the community was or it even existed. But I'd say that I've still have been part of the fandom or been a furry pretty much most of my life, making characters and calling each other by our nicknames. Essentially, was creating a persona. They were all animal identities, and then near the end of high school, for me, I believe that was probably my senior year. It could have been the very last half of uh, junior year that I was looking up tutorials on how to make some costumes because I wanted to go to an anime convention, and that's I wanted to do something more animal based, and that's how I figured out. Oh, there's a whole group of people and websites and communities centered around this thing that I enjoy. So I hopped on board and then never looked back.
Okay. So basically, you got into high school because of animation and etc. From
Mostly,
school.
yeah.
So
Growing up with Saturday Morning cartoons.
I'm using
And
a
I wanted
cheat.
to be either a cartoonist or an illustrator or an animator or something to that effect someday, and was always more interested in animating animals and drawing them rather than people. I like fantasy and sci-fi and things like that. Monsters and creatures, my jam.
hmm So here's the second question. What was your experience in making fursuits? I reworded some of these from last time.
Okay, so what was my experience?
Yep.
Like from when I started, I had never picked up, sewing skills. The only really artistic thing that I had to start me off with was that I've been drawing pretty much my whole life, and I'm really good with like computers and such, but I hadn't done a ton of like hands-on stuff. I don't work with a lot of traditional media. So I kind of started essentially from scratch, but I am very good at visualizing things in the 3 dimensions, just in my head. So that made it really easy to plan, and that's was allowed me to draw characters and such. So transferring those kind of skills into the skills that are required for creating costumes. Starting out, it was very difficult to find a lot of resources um, and instructions of kind of like where to start. But I kind of had a basic list of materials, um, you know, pretty much glue, foam, scissors, and some kind of fabric to cover it, and you're good to go. But it was a completely brand new skill set to me. So I had tried a ton of different techniques over the years. I kept building, expanding, and changing the way that I work, especially with new materials and resources coming out. So from when I started to where I am now in developing those skills, the whole landscape has changed kind of completely. And it's so much easier to get involved and started with these kind of projects nowadays than it was, gosh, was 12 years ago, I think, when I started then.
And you said like they like back then it was like you was trying to make it from scratch, like from mascot costumes.
Right. The only really resources or kind of similar
Is
fields in
mascots.
the industry that kind of already existed up to this point, because cosplay was also very, very new, just starting out, was referencing Hollywood and all the movie monsters and things that they made, and the mascot industry, and kind of combining these things sort of together and working with materials and suppliers that were available to like the everyday person, especially if you're kind of you tended to be something that attracted more to younger people who don't have as many resources, so you have to kind of look for things locally at your craft store, things like that. um, so yeah, it was really that it was limited in that sense too. We had to kind of create and make up new techniques and try out new materials and share all of that knowledge with the community, just kind of starting out and trying to make our own costumes.
So, um, uh, the third question that I have written down, which I took a screenshot during the questioning, uh, is what was your idea on the furry fandom?
My idea of on the furry fandom. So, um, basically, the furry fandom is just simply summarized by a group of people that find some amount of interest in the concept of anthropomorphics and animals in general. So it's a really mixed bag of people from all walks of life, all ages, genders, nationalities. Um, so I think that it's one of the most unique fandoms in the world. And I particularly enjoy it because it is so founded in the importance of expression, creativity, art, and passion. And it's kind of like we're all sort of a fan of each other's imaginations. And that is really something that a lot of other fandoms don't necessarily come together around. They will come together around a uh, TV show or a comic book, or characters that some other company created a story and merchandise and movies and whatever. And there's a canon source of that material, that world. Whereas the furry fandom, it's completely open and unique for people to sort of just create their own little worlds, and we can all kind of be fans of each other's little worlds. And that there is so much more freedom to expand upon, the concepts and creations and like what else could be out there versus being stuck into like only the stuff that Disney puts out, you know. And I think that that has allowed people to really open up, kind of come out of their shells, try to get involved in something and have a personal connection on a higher level than any other kind of fandom has given the sort of platform or environment to kind of use to express oneself. And through art, through costumes, through performance, through stories, all these things, you can find something for you. There's something for everyone in this community. And it's much more nurturing and supportive, understanding, and all of these things greatly attract me to the fandom, as well as being somebody who is a creator, and also somebody who likes to support the other creators. Um, I find that the kind of exchange of ideas and connections that you have with people, gaining friendships, opportunities, networking, uh, the amount of resources and opportunities that you have to make those kind of things happen in this group of people, like there's just something about it that sort of just is on my level that I can really click with, that I can really relate to. And it's a lot more personal, and I really find that it has been a big benefit in my life, and all the people, all and it's touched the lives of countless of people that I know. Like, we would not be the same uh, people that we are today without this kind of fandom and all of these opportunities to go to conventions and to make a living off of is like completely just mind blowing. Like, this is something you could do in this day and age, and you can connect with people all over the world, and it's just fantastic. It's awesome. I cannot like praise it highly enough. Every community's got some downfalls, but all of its positives outweigh the negatives so much. It's worth it.
Give me 1 second. Animal, thank you for that $1 donation to that extra life program. You really didn't have to, but you kind of helped the kids up in ours area. Thank you a lot. Yeah, it's a charity event that I posted for the charity live streams.
That's very sweet of you.
Yep. Um, the fourth question is, what is your perspective of art value for fursuits from before up until now? That was the one that we was covering
Ah,
about the.
yes. Okay, so first starting out, I mentioned this is very much kind of just a brand new field that people hadn't really explored or had created before. So it was very hobby level. It also didn't have a lot of outreach to uh, different kinds of clientele and materials. And also, there's an air of like prestige that has since completely exploded and it has increased from when it first kind of started to where we sort of now are now in the fandom. So it used to be people kind of doing this on the side. They'd maybe make a head for like $200. That barely covered material costs. People were
Mm-hmm.
not charging appropriately for the amount of time and labor to create something from scratch by hand and developing new techniques that didn't exist. Uh, so it was definitely a different kind of time and place and the field. A thing that has really changed from the climate from when it started to now is that you have had so much more time for people to get involved, to develop their skills. New materials have been invented, even a lot of it being repurposed from the cosplay side of things because of the popularity of that in the general pop culture um, climate of people now it's cool to be a geek and a nerd rather than being a social outcast. So there's a lot more public interest in it as well. So it's allowed people to actually create businesses around it, to reevaluate how to properly run and what's a fair rate to charge and all that stuff. So now you might find more of a standard for what would be collectively known as a professional fursuit maker. And typically, those are going to be people that have been around for quite a while. They have a reputation. Maybe they were probably one of the early adopters of creating fursuits and getting involved with that. And they switched over to making that their full-time business, their full focus, their sole sense of income. And now you actually have something that is on the same level as something Hollywood would outsource to, or the mascot industry would outsource to, and in some ways has sort of expanded beyond that level. Mascots are made with different ideas of use in mind, so they're made to be more universal fitting for a variety of people to use them, whereas fursuits are incredibly custom, tailored to fit one person if it's a custom commission for an individual. So that level of exclusivity and personalization has an increased value on it as well. And now you might find that a fursuit head may start more around the $1,000 mark. That is and this has only happened an increase over about 10 to 15 years, where that, not only is the general idea of, yes, art is a luxury, but it's also has intrinsic value. And the value that the fandom and the world has put on cosplay and fursuit has dramatically increased, as much well as the demand for it. So where there is a demand, it's just kind of become business 101 from there. So there is now a way that people can make a living making just animal costumes in their basement. And the ones that have really developed the art form have really taken seriously the consideration of running a business, having a dedicated workspace, having higher quality machines and tools and materials to offer something that even an outsider could see. This is not just a hobby anymore. This is a professional, customized service. And it has gotten so much recognition to the point that it's like, okay, now we're getting what were the pros, like Hollywood, to really recognize this is a valid, form of art, that now we're starting to see that bleed kind of into the public eye through things like The Masked Singer, for example. It's kind of an interesting combination of cosplay, mascot, fursuiting industries, kind of to create some onstage characters for performance. And like now that's becoming a thing that's like, oh yeah, people are into this. We can make money off of this. But it's really this, that the furry fandom is where the soul is where it started, and how supportive the people of the fandom are towards artists and their personal connections to the characters that they are creating. That value that the individual places on these items has now also increased the overall value of what this item and this field, this industry, is now worth to whoever is willing to put down money for it. Like, you can really get some good value and some good. There's a lot of like now history behind building suits, so you can get a good quality product now. So like when you get what you pay for, you really find that now they're lots more durable. There's also a lot more flexibility. There's now incorporation of like technology, with like lights and fans and like you name it, somebody's always on the cutting edge of doing something new and exciting. And the more demand there's going to be for it, you could expect these prices to go higher. And the thing is that in all fandoms, and this includes just like drawing flat art pieces as well, artists have always had the issue of kind of undervaluing themselves, struggling with how to charge for their work and their time. Most fursuit makers, even to this day, still do not make minimum wage. And it's really at that point a passion of like labor of love. And I personally, as an artist and a business person, hope to see that the attitude of the fandom allows for people to understand that this is not just, some little doodle that somebody just like did in like 5 minutes. Like there's actually a lot of There's years and years of knowledge and skill and testing and practice and trial and error behind. You're the maker of your choices, uh, like work portfolio and their skills and their time. That accumulation of skills and time is worth something extra. Like you're paying for that person's dedicated section of their life where they've wanted to boost said specialized skill, and that is worth a lot more than paying somebody in the mascot industry to create an animal character. They may use the similar techniques, they may create similar looking characters, but there's something more to the value of having it handmade by somebody in the furry community than some corporation. And you are getting a handmade product, so there is sort of like this expectation of what is the standard level of quality that people can expect, and maybe that might be something that will vary between makers' experiences and price ranges as well. It's kind of, if you're willing to pay for something that has been given like the absolute most attention to detail and making sure that it's going to be constructually sound and it's going to last you. They are still works of art, so they're not meant to be used and abused. They need to be treated as such, and they need so something that kind of more deserves to be put in a museum rather than given to your child to wear once on Halloween. Like
Mm-hmm.
there is a level of uh, just interest and passion and value that is kind of, it keeps constantly is keeping to increase. We're seeing now some people, some bigger makers that are really difficult to get slots for because they're in such high demand. They have such a portfolio of work. They have skills they've built up for over a decade. They're big names. To be able to try to fight to get in those slots, you could see auctions getting over 10K now, and that's still below the industry of Hollywood level products. And I believe that most of the work that's in the furry fandom far exceeds that of Hollywood, because Hollywood is not meant to last. It's meant to last for like one production. It's meant to last for a couple shots on set. That's all it really needs to. But now, first sitting, it has to last so much more than that. It's meant to be something that can be used and loved and personalized. And I think that it's hard to put a price on that sometimes, but we can expect to see that the higher, more established makers are going to continue to raise their prices. I'm hoping to look and see something maybe in the 20K range someday. That would be more on the level of what Hollywood spends on their little throwaway one-time projects, and the artists are making a fairer wage, I think, for those kind of projects. Whereas you have makers that are just starting out, they still may charge that $200. They're
Mm-hmm.
still learning. If you are worried about the value of fursuiting just going far, far, far beyond your reach, I would say don't worry. You will always find somebody who is just starting out who is going to be able to offer you, something that's more affordable for your needs. There are always going to be makers that will accept payment plans out there. There's always going to be a humongous variety of people that offer all sorts of different styles and quality levels of quality that meet your needs. There's always going to be more people getting into it. There is just so many makers now. There used to be like 20, and that was it. Now there are hundreds,
Mm-hmm.
and the resources and everything that is out there that exists. If you decide, I want to get into making myself, maybe it's just for personal, or if it's to make it into a business, there's no like better time than to get started. And the sooner that you
Exactly.
do, the more valuable your skills and your work will become. So it can be something that you make a living off of now. And I hope to see more artists being successful at making a living with their fursuits because the value has continues to increase. So I
Um.
guess that I kind of went off there a little bit. Hopefully that answers your question pretty thoroughly.
Uh. Whew.
Yeah. You get me talking, I just go, especially if it's about
Yep.
fursuits, anything that
Um. So besides that, how do you decide to make the fursuiting uh, hobby into like intros of making fursuits? You know,
as a
uh,
business.
yeah, like onto YouTube. Making videos for that.
Making videos on YouTube. And you basically you want to be able to be a YouTube performer in fursuit.
Like no,
Are
I
you
mean
asking for my advice on how
no.
to do?
The how can I say it? Like you're a fursuit maker who uh who does like YouTube stuff for like showing step by step of how
Oh yeah.
it's done. Like, how do you incorporate that for your channel?
Okay, so I think that'll largely I pretty much credit most of my success in attention and getting some name recognition, etc., has been because I started early on with YouTube, documenting my journey, my progress, my builds and constructions of creating costumes, and made them available online for people to watch and see behind the scenes, like how I put all this stuff together. And I started doing that, my very first costume, in 2007. And at that time, you know, it was a very different kind of climate. I feel like I tapped into something unique at the right time to have gotten some level of attention and success, to the point where people will still come up to me this day and be like, "You're the reason that I discovered the furry fandom and that I decided to make fursuits or to buy a fursuit, and maybe it even changed people's lives." And I'm just kind of like, I'm just over here. I just put some videos on the internet. Like, I wasn't expecting anything out of that. I was just discovering a new hobby and wanted to share, my experience and my ideas, and it just kind of worked out kind of nicely. I'm not super active on YouTube at the moment or anymore. I've taken a little bit of break from costume making. I'd like to get back into it again, and I have considered kind of going back into the YouTube route and really focusing a little bit more on uh, either education or helping the next generation of fursuit makers get started with the hobby, uh, and maybe one day turn it into a business themselves. Um, or just kind of showcasing, more of my work. It's just like I haven't made a lot of new things, so there's not a lot of things to show. The other side of that is the performance entertainment area of YouTube, which I also have many videos that show me doing silly things in costumes, going to the
Mm-hmm.
stores and entertaining people, going to playgrounds, and it's also just videos of being at conventions, things like that. There's just like a level of just entertainment and joy, and people kind of find a connection through that. So you can kind of get people that are more interested in like the actual art and the construction and the engineering kind of side, or they're more for like the entertainment kind of side. And I was able to kind of do a little bit of both, um, which was fairly simple. When you have a costume, all you got to do is put it on, turn on the camera, and do something. Um, but to actually, yeah, build the costumes, that is absolutely my favorite part of it. Is the design and the creation, and specifically all of the like underneath the fur stuff, the foam sculpting and such, is definitely that kind of behind the scenes of, you know progress in construction and engineering. That's what really draws me personally into it, and that's the stuff that I don't think you get to see a lot of times. Usually you just kind of see the finished product, but you don't get to see kind of like what goes behind it. And I'm hoping through that people can get a better understanding of just like how unique and hardworking the people are who create these things, really are. Like that also how it helps that perceived value idea, that you can, now you understand what kind of goes into it, you have more appreciation for what comes out of it.
Yep. I because you started out with the your very first channel, which would be Canine Hybrid Creations, that I got I
Technically, I started out as Tusami Dragon, but
yeah, but
I copied those videos into YouTube. That was when I first showed my
yeah,
Charizard costume.
but when I watched, okay, this is when I got into the furry fandom. I watched your Leaf on video. That was the very
Mm.
first video because I wanted to get into fursuit making at the time, but I didn't have the right materials at the time. Uh, and right now your channel has over 25.6K on that channel.
Subscribers, yes.
Yep. And your new one is like 525.
Yeah, because the new one has 0 videos uploaded. I have not really officially launched my quote current new channel yet because I don't have any content to share yet, but it's there as like a placeholder to prepare for if and when I make that jump. I'm thinking right now that I keep Canine Hybrid active and will upload more of the entertainment based kind of videos, the silly things, more like my personal life kind of stuff, perhaps. Quite sure, but obviously that's where like majority of my audience is, and a lot of my audience followed me for me, you know. Um, they want to see like more content, but if you want to see more of my art kind of stuff, my entire rebranding of my art is under the name Mythimorph, and I would like to cement that better. So I'm considering making Mythimorph more of a focus on the costumes, stuff, behind the scenes, construction, you know, making the art look pretty kind of work rather than the silly fun stuff. You know, more of a professional channel, I suppose. But I'm not sure right now because I don't really use the name Hybrid has now changed to Androconics. Um, but it's hard to migrate an audience from one account or one platform to another.
Mm-hmm.
So it is very much kind of like starting from scratch again. The only reason I have 500 subscribers on an empty channel is because I have my audience from Canine Hybrid that I happen to mention at some point on social media, like, hey, just so you know, I have a new YouTube over here, and I'm going to be updating that one instead of Canine Hybrid. So maybe if you want to get updates, you can go watch it. And apparently, 500 people did, including you, I guess.
No,
And
no,
silence. Nothing has been
no,
posted yet, but
no.
life happens.
When you said from Canine Hybrid, some of them, I'm one of them.
Oh yes, yeah. From yep.
um, and to be honest, when I found out you was going to AZFC, I already booked my plane tickets at that time. I'm like saying, wait. So this is funny. As soon as I seen the update, so I'm like saying, are you actually going to AZFC this year? Remember that
Yep,
text?
I actually was,
It,
and you can thank Avian Invasion for that. He dragged
yeah.
me along.
Um. Yeah. Uh. If you if he does have like time off or something like that, because, you know, uh, I I am trying to see if he wants to do an interview.
Oh well, I'll mention it to him then.
Um. Uh. God darn it. Uh. I'm trying to figure it out. Uh. So, like, going to conventions, um, to because the fur fandom is like one of the most accepting fandoms out there.
Hmm.
Do you feel better going to those conventions instead of like other conventions, or do you like?
Absolutely, yes. Furry conventions are my favorite genre or type of convention these days. Second would probably be any of the pop culture kind of Comic Con things. Um, and I started doing the anime conventions like originally. That was my draw to my very first convention, um, and I've since kind of gone away from them. I feel like they don't connect with me as much as they used to. Whereas I find all the fulfillment I want from a convention experience and more from a furry convention. They're much more personal. They are They can be fairly large events, but they can also be rather small, and you can kind of get different experiences at either one. But I find that it's also a lot easier for the kind of work and art that I do to reach the kind of audience that I'm looking for. Like, there's no better place than a furry fandom, whether it's me being as a dealer or going just as, an attendee, costume performer, something like that. I get much more reaction, reception, positivity from furry conventions. I also get more money. Not that I have tried vending at an anime convention or a Comic Con, but typically the price ranges for even just getting a table at these events is kind of like a bar to entry that I haven't been able to meet yet. Um, but I would be kind of interested in, like, I wouldn't mind going to a gaming convention or like a My Little Pony convention or something to that effect. But I don't have a lot of like me, if I'm trying to sell something there, then it would be a lot more difficult to find a material that would target that kind of an audience. And as an attendee, I would definitely enjoy it, but just for a completely different reason. Furry conventions are just more like fulfilling in like one's soul. They tend to not only just kind of align better with my interests, but the kind of people that also attend them tend to align better with the kind of person that I am, despite the variety that you can kind of get in this sort of mixed bag place. Because it is so open and accepting, and it appreciates art so much more than any other fandom or convention kind of does. It puts so much emphasis on just art. As an artist, that's just like, yes, that's exactly the kind of place that I want to be, where I am appreciated and valued in a community. And you can kind of get that direct feedback, like right to your face. People will tell you, like, I enjoy your work. I thank you for what you do. That there is a genuine appreciation for the stuff that I do as a human being, you know, that you cannot kind of get at an anime convention. You might be dressed up as your favorite character, and someone would just be like, I adore your cosplay and your character, but it's not the same that if you're dressed up as your personal, let's say you made your own wolf or something, and somebody comes up and they go, oh my god, like, this wolf is just incredible, you're beautiful, like, you have such great detail in your eyes, and you made that costume like yourself, or you had somebody make that so special for you, and have somebody compliment you in that way feels completely different. It feels more, you know, genuine and personal, and just like fulfilling, and just, yes, like, it's like a high. It's hard to like not want more of that and be surrounded by that. And also, not only are you kind of getting that, also bringing something to the people around you. Like, you're entertaining them, you're interacting with them, like, you're making their day a little bit brighter, just from your very presence of kind of just being there and contributing to the environment and the atmosphere. It's a very positive kind of place, uh, and it's got this little energy to it that's different than I find of the other kinds of conventions.
Uh,
And it helps that, like, you know everybody too.
yep.
Like, you're familiar with people's work. You meet your favorite, for lack of a better word, celebrities, within the fandom. Like, you've always admired somebody online, you finally get a chance to meet them in person. You can't do that at sci-fi conventions without, or comic cons, without like paying a bunch of money to stand in the line and just get an autograph and take a picture and then move on. Like,
Yep.
here at a furry convention, you really get to sit down with people and talk to them.
Yep.
You get to support them directly with your money. If you're like, I like your art, I want to buy it. You can do that stuff at like anime conventions, but a lot of times, you're buying artwork that somebody else made. Like, somebody else. It's somebody's character that exists in like a comic book. Like Superman or something. You know, whereas the furry art, it's so much more unique, and the artist can kind of have a personal expression to it that you can't find in fan art.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is also nice, that you can support originality and creativity, and support the people that are creating such things directly too, to kind of keep it going, to keep expanding on that, to just kind of support and encourage more of that to be made. And it's really fun when people kind of get involved in each other's, you know, imaginations. And you can't really get that at another kind of convention. I think that's something that's really unique to the furry conventions as well, is the appreciation for each other's originality and creativity. So yeah, that's why I'm just like, furry conventions, as many as I can go to, I want to go.
So
I want to
you know,
experience.
so here's a little spoiler right now. I'm actually planning getting my second costume. My furry costume from Thunderhouse Studios.
Yeah, Thunderhouse is fantastic work.
It's a Christmas themed cabin.
Okay, yeah, I am familiar with this character. You've shown it to me before.
Yep. And what is your thoughts on it? I just updated the reference sheet because they said that they can't do the red stripes on the arms, um, which actually I got it updated. Um, what's your idea on it? Like
Well, I mean, like, I as far as the idea of like creating a fursuit of a Christmas themed cabin, that sounds like a great idea, especially around Christmas time, obviously, because something like that could also kind of interact outside of the furry fandom. And the idea of, Christmas in general, the spirit of it anyway, is to just like spread joy and giving. And that's exactly what you would be kind of doing like year round. But, that would be a great way to kind of have some
yep,
public outreach. It'd be great to doing like events and fundraisers and charity stuff.
because
If you wanted to go that route, obviously it's cute, it's fuzzy, it's huggable. Like, I think that in general is a great idea, and I believe that Thunderhowl would do a fantastic job, bringing this character to life for you.
mhm. Um,
So, like, if you have the means in which to do it and the interest and passion, like I say, go for it.
the uh, the only problem with this suit is actually gonna have some add-ons to it, which uh totals up to about 5K.
Yeah, that's about what I expect most these days for like a full suit, basic
Yep.
full suit.
Uh, he that cat my Christmas cabin is the representation of my um dedication towards Christmas and me, doing Christmas decorating,
Mm-hmm.
and having this character means will be meaning a lot to me because of my personality around Christmas. Funtime Wolf is my basically a party animal type deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that represents my second part of me, and I will be coming out with all these different characters, hopefully in the near future, on my end. Um,
Yeah, I find that whenever I create a new character, it has a little piece of myself in it that
mm-hmm.
represents kind of something about me or something that I wish I could be or want to work to be, etc. And I think that's probably what majority of people in the fandom do for expressing themselves through their characters as well.
Yep.
It makes it a lot easier to also, embody that character and perform when
I
it's kind of like expressing just a part of you that was always there, but now you have the proper medium in which you can kind of, use to kind of boost that, let it out.
um
Yeah, that just sounds like it would be a lot of fun.
I did talk to my general manager recently about the character. She I told her that its name is Jingles because of because I'm the one who will buy these bell tipped pens that you can get, the three bells on the end of the pen,
Hmm.
and I would walk down up and down my whole work area with that pin in my pocket.
Oh, so you jingle everywhere
Yeah,
that you
during
go.
Christmas, all through Christmas.
Then
Um,
that seems very appropriate.
and and at work they called me Jingles for the last 4 years.
Oh, nice. There you go. So it's
So
already a nickname they're familiar with.
so that's why I took the name Jingles and incorporated it to a fursuit.
Yeah, that sounds like the very appropriate use of
And they're
uh
they're adding a bell
that nickname.
on my tail part
Cute.
because that's where it's going to be hanging off of. Then I'm going to add a few more extra bells. It's going to be funny. Uh, then like what what is your recommendations in like first toothbrush like? Because right now like some people will use a metal brush which will destroy like
Being a fursuit maker, I don't work with fur a whole lot. And I have heard various things over the years as well, which direction that you brush the fur, works best. Um, it is true that if you are brushing a suit, you're going to be pulling fibers out, and of course, they don't grow back. So that's definitely something that you need to be considerate of. Make sure you're not too aggressively brushing it, um, so you're not making bald spots. However, you can repair bald spots. It's just annoying, but you can. Uh, Kind of the same techniques that you do for needle felting, you can kind of weft the hairs back in there. So it's not the end of the world, but you can expect a fursuit to last at least 5 years with really good care. Longer, if you're really good care, uh, with consistent use and things like that. Depending, people use them for different reasons and in different situations and things like that. So it's hard to say for sure, and it also kind of depends on the quality of the fabric itself. Not all furs are created equal. um, some furs require lots of brushing, some don't require it at all. I'd say that if you're really concerned about it, you could definitely go for more of the like the rubber coated tips or the plastic ones rather than the metal ones. That would probably not be as harsh at accidentally snagging too much and ripping up the backing or pulling out too much hair. However, the metal brushes are incredibly effective. So as long as you're not being really aggressive with it, majority of people still use the metal brushes. Like that really does the trick. It's the stuff that you find, for brushing pets and things like that. Um, and yeah, depending on which direction, if you're like pulling down or if you're pushing uh, down, there's because they're kind of the little blades or nubs, whatever, the rakes are kind of at an angle. It can kind of change the way that it sort of brushes the fur. You can kind of just sort of experiment. There is really not a huge right or like wrong answer. I don't think there's like one thing that you absolutely should stay away from and never use this on your fursuit kind of thing. And when we get like these circulate like these little rumors and uh, perceptions throughout the community of how to like take care of fursuit properly. At one point, everybody was praising Woolite because it was like the one detergent that you can use with cold water. But now people are saying, no, Woolite is terrible to use because it doesn't actually, I don't know, cling to the fibers properly or something. It's like it's difficult to know what is the right way to care for your fursuit. So my biggest recommendation is just follow your maker's instructions. Specifically, if they have something that they recommend for their work that might work better than something else than made in a different method than another fursuiter would recommend because of how they put it together, what they use.
mm-hmm.
I don't really think it's that big of a deal as long as you're just being gentle and taking your time with it, you know. But for the most part, you can really get at it, and you maybe pull out some fur every time you do that, but it's not a very noticeable difference. And I've had stuff last for years without me noticing. And again, you can repair it, and once it kind of hits that like 5-10 year mark, like probably something that should be retired and or revamped, upgraded, something like that. Um, yeah, I don't think that it's that big of an issue as people sort of make it out to be, though.
Yeah, I use Rolla on my fursuit myself, which it comes out fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
like I can't remember what the direct criticism that I saw recently of Woolite was. I might have to look again, but
It's stupid. It depends on if it cleans it or not.
yeah, like the next time that I go and I wash a fursuit, which I don't have any full body suits right now. I haven't had one since technically, well, Sonar had a bodysuit for my Angel Dragon for like 5 minutes. I warped one event, which was just going up to Hollywood to take some pictures of video in front of the Hollywood sign, and then I was going to redo the costume, took it all apart, and then never put it back together because they discontinued my fur. So I'd have to start the entire suit all over. So I just been wearing it as a partial for a while. That was, I want to say, 2014, maybe 2015. 2015. Yes,
What
that was.
color is your fur?
It is an incredibly dark blue. It almost looks black, and it's a longer pile like seal fur, super seal, very dense, very shiny. But that particular color, when the manufacturer discontinued the fur, so I couldn't get any more. But that's alright. I found a replacement for making 2.0, so it'll come back to life. But yeah, I haven't needed to wash a bodysuit in the washing machine because I have no bodysuit to wash, and everything else I kind of just sort of do by hand, and or just kind of do spot cleaning on. So the next time I go to actually have to throw something in the wash, I will do my thorough research to really keep up with what's the climate of what's the best fursuit care technique today,
Mm-hmm.
just to give it my best shot. But I mean, at least I'm cleaning it at all. So that gets more, I can say, for a lot of people. It is important to take care of your stuff. Definitely keeping it looking and smelling good,
Yeah.
and yeah, not being a petri dish.
Mm-hmm.
It's like we have enough problems with concrete as it is.
Concrete. Yeah. Now I'm running out of questions.
Oh no.
Uh, if you think that some fursuit makers are like using like furworks for like making um like fursuits out of, have you ever seen a plush maker, like a plushie maker, use the same materials to make a plushie?
So just the faux fur you're referring to that fursuits are made out of?
Yeah, like like, like the long haired.
Yes, absolutely. I have definitely seen plush makers use the exact same materials. So majority of plushies are made out of minky, but you also will see fursuits made out of minky. It's just a really short pile of fur. At the end of the day, it's
Yeah, but
all it is.
I'm using the long haired fur.
Yeah. For plushies, because a lot of the details tend to be smaller, and it's the same kind of principle with fursuits. Smaller details, markings, the face, a lot of it may need to be shaved down in
Mm-hmm.
order for that to really translate well out through the fibers because they are pretty long, about 2 inches or so is the average on fursuits. They're going to appear in relationship to a plushie as extremely long because you're working with such a smaller scale. So, you know, that's
I'm
definitely
working on
something
life
that can be
size.
figured. Now,
Like
if you want to have longer accents, like maybe the back fur is longer than the tummy fur, or it's got a really brushy, floofy, fluffy tail, or something like that, you can definitely leave it as the full length and not need to shave it. But something like around the face, um, definitely needs to get a little bit of trimming if you want the details. So it seems where their eyes are like sunken into their head because there's just so much fluff and fur coming out that you can't see the details. Uh, yes, because the manufacturer is just using one length of fabric for the entire plushie. So uh, you might as well just sort of like make it, if you're making something custom from scratch,
yeah, I'm making custom. I think you cut out.
hiding it in really long fur. But yes, same techniques, same materials. Like I've never made a plushie, but
Hold
I
up.
could totally make a plushie using the exact same techniques that I do for building a fursuit. Or if you're a plushie maker and you want to make fursuits, exact same construction techniques, just make it
Bigger.
bigger, and then you're gonna have to support the structure a little bit more, like with foam or something rather than just plain stuffing. But I mean, the same kind of sculpting techniques exist. You're just
I
changing the scale, and the figures will interact a little bit differently with it, but it's nothing that you can figure out and overcome. Especially again with all the tutorials and resources that are available now. Like it's a pretty simple transition.
so I'm making this one plushie that is like a life size one, like a big one to
Oh,
hug.
there you go. So the scale isn't changed nearly as much then
Yep, it's
as it
basically
would for like something small.
about half the size of an actual suit.
Yeah,
Um,
I've kind of always wanted to make like a large scale plushie. I think it'd be kind of fun, but I don't know where I'd keep it or what I would make it of. But that would be pretty cool.
but I'm doing one on a custom character, so which this one don't have any templates, which I doing it all by reference of one.
Yeah, well, that's definitely the best way to do it. Is just to look at what other people have done and just reference
Hmm.
how it was constructed to kind of expand on that and techniques and make your own. I mean, that's how fursuits became a thing.
Yep.
It's exactly the way that we did it.
Remember that Anemonian sticker that I bought from AZFC?
I don't know if I recall it or not.
On the
Not
live interview, I bought, you know, or the other interview that was on my channel.
I
Um,
had only watched the videos that you had when you had interviewed me originally.
yeah, both of them. It was part one and part two.
Yes, I did watch both parts.
The I
So if the sticker was in those videos, then I did see it, but I just can't picture it right now.
uh I got the picture. Actually, I got the two CDs. That sticker. I put the sticker on the back of my
Oh, you're talking about
laptop.
the avian invasion sticker?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh, then yes, okay.
um. Then and the wristband. I lost the wristband
Yeah.
somewhere in my room.
Oh no, my wristband
Yeah.
is right here.
Mine's somewhere in the thing over there.
They're gonna be collector's items now because it's officially run out of them.
um,
I think this is my third one because I keep breaking them. But now I can't replace it, so if it breaks, then I'm out of luck. But
probably give you mine.
sorry.
um,
I think it will probably be making more. And these actually do have glow in the dark properties to them, but because they added the yellow dye to it,
it
it
will
like
work.
covered up the glow in the dark, so it's actually really really weak. So I think he said next round he wants to leave it that like clearish yellowy green kind of color that's just pure glow in the dark, so that it will really stand out on the dance floor.
I think the green will also stand out.
Yeah, it just has to be something that's kind of translucent instead of being so opaque.
I actually
In
had a
order for it.
I had a glowstone of rock. Uh, when I was little. I don't know where that went off to,
Yeah.
but it would glow in the dark at night, and it was like really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, my shark glows in the dark too. I'm
Oh,
just so glowy over here, but you can't tell because it's not dark.
uh, by the way, you know how some people own like Pokemon cards?
Yeah, me.
This is only a fraction of it. It's two layers, by
Decent
the way.
sized collection. Yeah, I still have mine from when I was a kid. Saying probably about that size. I don't know what the heck I'm gonna do with all of it though. Same with my like bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I didn't really play real Yu-Gi-Oh. Kind of if I was battling somebody, but I just like collect because
There's my big collection. I hope I didn't lose it. I have a rare card that you only get once in a blue moon. It's a shiny Charizard card.
Oh, they made shiny Charizards? That's cool.
I had one.
As I have, like, a dark Charizard card, but it's not a shiny Charizard, you know?
Oh, there it is.
It's an old school
Is it
card.
is it
I
is it
loved it, though.
right there?
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it is shiny.
Yeah. I This like the reason why I will never give this one away is because on my birthday, I was coming home from Kentucky, right? From a family trip, and we stopped at a truck station, and in one of the packs that I bought with my money for my birthday, I got this.
Oh, so you actually did a blind pull and got that card.
Yep.
By by sheer luck.
Yep.
Those are always the best stories.
And after that, after I seen that, I had a shiny Dialga. I got a shiny Palkia. I've been getting shinies.
Nice.
And then
I didn't
on
realize
the
that
same day,
they made some shiny cards as well. So that's pretty cool.
they do. It's just that you have to find them. They're extremely rare.
Hmm. I might have to look into that. That's kind of cool. I just like having all my old cards. I don't collect any of the new cards.
Mm-hmm.
I have this maybe idea in my mind that it makes it more rare, but I don't think it really does. Like, or more valuable, I should say. But
That shiny Charizard card is rare as of right now because that's on the list that is worth about $500.
really,
Mm-hmm.
well, wow.
If it's in good condition.
Well, obviously, it needs to be minted to be worth anything. It has to be graded by a professional. And
To be honest,
probably
you
should
can
be locked up in a case, sealed away, kind of thing. Make sure
see
that it doesn't have
there.
no scratches or imperfections
Yeah,
on it.
there's none because I had it in this golden thing.
Oh, it's got a sleeve. That's nice.
Yeah, I put it in a sleeve all this time. I'm not that dumb. um, um, I play VR. Okay. I don't know if you play a PS4 or something.
Nope, I have no consoles.
Why?
The only thing I have is my 3DS is the most recent game system that I have, and then my PC. But I'm not a big gamer anymore. I don't have time.
Yeah, because you're busy. Um, Only one person came to see the interview, then he dipped because I think he
Oh
worked.
wow, yeah, I'm seeing somebody selling this for like $100. Yeah, that is a decently rare card.
Yeah.
You're lucky. Plasma Storm.
Mine is just a shiny Charizard stage
Right, no,
3
it's
with a.
Plasma Storm is the deck that series that it was released in.
Oh.
That's just the name of the collection of the other cards in that series. So that it tells you like the year and the.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, I do love. Um. That's been like a long time. Like I've had that card.
Oh yeah, this one's going for $200 on Amazon. I don't know why someone on Amazon, but whatever. Like yeah, if it's a good condition, you can probably get $100 or two for it. If it's like super mint, maybe you can.
I had
But
a
hey, that's actually yeah, you are correct. That is a rare, valuable card.
yeah, I had a this 5,000 card listing somewhere in my
Mm-hmm.
room right now. That tells me all the whole list of the Pokemon collections,
Oh wow,
and it tells you how rare they are.
I'm sure that must be a really long list.
Yes, it is. I think 16 pages to 25 pages.
Yeah, I believe it.
No, 50 pages even. Because I printed them all out.
Oh dang, it's a lot of paper. Yeah.
I did it. I printed it out in 8th grade.
Oh, so it's an outdated list now.
Yes. But I didn't got the card until I think I was 12 at the time. So I think, yeah, it was then. Because I didn't went to. I went to. When I got into high school in ninth grade, we started. Actually, we got into these clubs. And one of the things it was board games. So I bring my Pokemon cards every um, flex period for the for that.
Hmm.
I'm getting notifications for delays and closures for schools now. They're delaying the schools in my area. You know what's funny? I fixed a few sculptures of mine that recently broke with all this hot glue gun, and I only have like
Oh yeah,
two.
that card came out in 2012, so yeah, that makes sense if you got it as a kid.
Yep. This is how much glue I have left with one more stick left, other than this one.
How many to stock up more? Did you have any more interview questions for me
uh,
today?
no, hold on. So I'm gonna say something to my viewers before we left. Uh, Guys, please go check out at Mythimorph on Twitter, and please be sure to ask me at Funtime Wolf with any more interview questions or something that you want me to ask anyone else. Even her, she might be able to be willing to answer those questions at a later date, right?
Yeah, I can do that probably.
Um, for me, if you guys want more content like this, please go be sure to check out my Patreon at patreon.com/funtimewolf. And if you want to also help my friend here, Riley, you can go to her Patreon at patreon.com/mythimorph. It helps both of us out, and
Mm-hmm.
as both I am a YouTube creator and she's a fursuit maker, um, it kind of helps our community out in a big way.
Yep,
And
art's my full-time job,
yep,
so
and
buy my shirt.
and I also have my own store. It's at on Spreadshirt. It's I'll leave the link in the description for later, and that's about it. Any anything you want to add?
Not really. Just stay awesome.
Yep. Also, go check out my Davian art if you want. I'll be posting more convention pictures there. It's davianart.com/ wolflover, I think 235, I think. I can't remember. Or 238. I can't remember, okay? um, I'll leave the link in the description once I find out. And all you guys, stay fluffy. Now, we're the damn. Not end call yet. I'll end the stream real quick.